welcome back to the Pit Check. Just when you thought this summer couldn't get any hotter, we just get hit with another wave of napalm. The albums this week are all absolute rippers, with some really well-known heavy hitters surprisingly putting out career best albums. And personally, I'm stoked because this week there's actually a little bit of a bias towards the super technical and progressive bands. So if you're like me and you like a little bit of weird shit in your metal and hardcore music, this is the week for you. So without teeing it up any further, let's just get right into my recommendations and reviews for the best new albums that came out this week. Cast Iron Connecticut Metalcore. The relentlessly savage metalcore crossover band Boundaries has released this haymaker of a new album, Yearning, the Unbeautiful After. This album is like getting beaten in the face with a brick for 47 minutes straight. The way they blend this throwback, gritty metalcore with just fuck tons of beatdown hardcore and metallic hardcore and even bits of deathcore is flawlessly executed. There's no future! They've done a really good job here of fully committing to their inspirations without ever losing their own voice. They can cover soundscapes anywhere from that early 2000s melodic hardcore from Autumn to Ashes vibes to like 2010s metalcore Devil Wears Prada zombie EP vibes to more like modern punchy sounds like chamber or orthodox, all while including some more like melodeath and death metal inspired riffing, and again just ruthlessly violent slow and low breakdowns. This album is just dense. The emotion here is also through the roof, not just with these extremely earwormy cleans. That can sometimes remind me of like Cove era Seosin, quite a bit actually, but even the harsh vocals have such passion and pain, and this wall of sound mix that's just overwhelming. Plus we've got features from The Plot Anew and Make Them Suffer. This one is just, it's a can't miss all around. Canadian prog metal. The legendary Ontario-based progressive metal band Protest the Hero has released their 6th studio album, Within. This is a band for weirdos, and I am weirdos. This thing is off the fucking wall, and I love it. Instrumentally, this band has aged like a fine wine. The guitars feel like there's, I don't know, like 40-something dudes just all shredding at once at any given time. Every single riff is so funky and groovy and technical, but it has this non-stop, full-throttle energy that's weirdly like super fun and uplifting. It's like ripping a line and chugging OG Four Locos, but then going go-karting with your boys. The production on this album is also phenomenal. This might be one of the best produced albums of the year. The guitars are crystal clear, the drumming is punchy and tight, and definitely not robotic, and the singing, which is arguably the only divisive thing about this band, is bellowing and theatrical with all of these classic power metal vibratos and Valkyrie screams, and even some like sassy tongue-in-cheek vocals that are like accented with group chants, and some actually really sick lows and harsh vocals that obviously selfishly I always want to hear more of. And they're clearly having a blast with this album, and that energy it's infectious. Massachusetts death metal. The death metal and hardcore crossover band Fuming has released this devastating new album, The Ringing Bell. Actually, this album is only physically devastating. Emotionally, this is an extremely empowering and life-affirming album. Where their last LP really delved into vocalist Mark Wieland's journey with cancer, this album is actually more about like living your life on your terms and taking the power back, and not to sound like Danganronpa, but quite literally having hope triumph over despair. But that positivity and optimism doesn't just somehow magically make this album not beat some serious fucking ass. This thing's like a stepdad with a belt. The death metal guitar work and song structures are so punishing and moody, with these fucking jaw-breaking breakdowns, and these ungodly low-tuned guitars and bass are just so syrupy and thick. I love it. I also really like these dark and haunting melodies and tremolos that like loom over the song. There's some really sick, slow, sludgy, doomy passages that just like slowly peel your flesh back before jolting your corpse back to life with some ripping metallic hardcore. This is probably the most menacing, happy album I've ever heard. Highly, highly, highly recommended. And hey, if you end up finding just one band that you like today, consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, sending it to your friends, something, anything. You guys seem to really enjoy the show, and I want to keep making it. So if we can get the algorithm to, notice this channel, help it take off, then more better things for everybody. Thank you guys so much. Love you. Back to the show. German Maltese prog metal. The Djenty progressive metal band Cuz has released this extremely impressive new album, Broken But Alive. So the fact that this is a one-man band is already mind-blowing, but it's not the typical one guy writes guitar and then does vocals and just programs the drums and bass and overproduces everything. This is meticulously written and recorded, each instrument one by one by himself. Bro is an actual musical prodigy. This is such a groovy and bouncy album that has a bunch of different influences from across the metal spectrum. If you're into bands like Between the Buried and Me or Tesseract, especially in the Djenty rhythms, or maybe you're into some like Monuments or Periphery, this will be right up your alley. But it doesn't just stay in this Djenty groovy space. We also get some really heavy like deathcore adjacent breakdowns and some like metalcore riffs, and on the other side of the spectrum there's acoustic and piano focused songs. Thank God this album is close to an hour long, so there's tons of time for this dude to show off not just his instrumental prowess, but also his legitimately fantastic songwriting. Plus there's like 14 features on the album, so he's clearly open to tons of collaboration and creative input. This was a huge sleeper hit for me. Highly recommend this one. Tasmanian technical death metal. The Australian tech death band Psycroptic has released another masterpiece of an album, The Pulse of Annihilation. I don't understand how a band writing tech death for over 20 years is still able to put out career best albums, seemingly without even breaking a sweat. This is one of the few tech death bands that knows how to absolutely shred and show off while still writing, actual songs instead of just circle jerking themselves. These songs are so dense and layered and musically complex, they literally never get boring to listen to and have tons of replayability, discovering new little bits each time. And I really love how they're able to blend in these prog and thrash and even some brutal death metal into their technical death metal, but unlike other crossover bands, they always stick to this tried and true rule of prioritizing the grooves over the speed. This is also some of the most interesting and intricate drumming I've heard on a tech death album in a while. A lot of modern tech drummers really just lean on the blast beats and double bass runs, but drummer Dave Haley can do those in spades, don't get me wrong, but he has this octopus-like limb independence with no shortage of creative fills and patterns. I could yap for a long time about how each member here is some kind of genetic freak of nature, but I'll spare you that for now. Just know that this is unquestionably one of the better death metal albums of the year. You'll definitely hear me yapping about this time and time again, especially around album of the year discussions. The 6-year wait is over. The modern cult classic metalcore crossover band Loathe is finally back with their latest album, A Stranger to You. Not gonna lie, this is a weird and divisive album. There's a lot of extremely strong choices made here that will definitely upset some fans that were looking for I Let It In Part 2. And yeah, this is definitely not that. So it did take me a couple listens to fully appreciate what was actually going on here instead of what I wanted to go on here. At first, I was upset because there's a lot of things here that I normally do not like. For example, these super over-processed drums, especially that wet snare, the over-compressed guitar tone that makes it impossible to distinguish one riff from another, and obviously, well, the fact that it's not quite as heavy as some of their earlier work. But I hate to say it, all of those elements are actually what make this album work so well. And when the album does get heavy, it's such a sharp left turn. It's so chaotic and grinding with these really nasty bass tones that are mixed in with this crunchy synth sound. The vocals are better than they've ever been, with tons of singing range, even a little bit of spoken word, and then just harsh, abrasive screams. And that dark, compressed guitar tone make it so groovy and rhythmic that it makes those shoegazy elements just so dreamy and ambient. This is a challenging but ultimately very rewarding album. This, in my opinion, was absolutely worth the wait. And here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. Let's go, everybody! Welcome back to the Hard Corner. Oh yes, it is that time again, but this time, it's not just 3 demos, it's not just 4 demos, we've got 6 insane new hardcore demos that'll break your fucking back. First up is the thrashy Colombian hardcore band Poison the Preacher, who just released their EP, Things I Want. This band will shred your face off. This is some unrelenting metallic hardcore with a blood transfusion of pure thrash. The riffs here are balls to the wall, and the inclusion of some of these traditional Colombian musical flourishes work so fucking well in these songs. I'm obsessed with this band. I know they just released an album last year, and this EP just came out, but I can't get enough. I need more. Then we've got the German metallic hardcore band Drøver with their EP, Innocent Death. This thing is riff city, dude. I love how their flavor of metallic hardcore is blending in more of these like Swedish melodic death metal influences. It's a really great way to stand alongside yet be differentiated from bands like Guilt Trip or Judiciary. It's so sharp and precise, and it hits you in the face like a hammer made of adrenaline. And then we've got the West Virginia-based chaotic and metallic hardcore band God's End with their newest EP, The Tragedy of Loss. This one is going to be for people who love that visceral, knife-sharp hardcore. Fans of Nails or the Acacia Strain or Fuming Mouth will really love this one. And you know what? I'm just going to quote them directly here because they describe this album as, "These riffs hit harder than an American black bear. Breakdowns harder than the coal mines this state was built on. This ain't your average two-step, buckaroo. These pits will leave you in a worse shape than a night with the Mothman. So take off your hard hats, lace up your steel toes, and stream God's End today." The wildly underrated Atlanta hardcore punk band Criminal Instinct has surprise released their latest EP. Is it raining at your house?
You don't sleep. You stare at the wall.
Dude, this fucking rips. It's got a ton of these 80s OG hardcore punky rhythms, but with this modern, rusty meat cleaver intensity. The bass and the guitar is tuned so fucking low, and this recording is so textured that you can feel these like strings rattling in your spinal column. I love this EP, and this band deserves way, way more attention. The Birmingham hardcore crossover band Flesh Creep has put out their latest EP, Glimmer. These are, quote, friendly people making unfriendly music. And I love how experimental and off the wall these dudes get. And they're like so self-deprecating while also kicking a ton of ass. And it has a ton of these mathy, chaotic elements that remind me a lot of like Every Time I Die and The Chariot, but then we'll bounce around from these like jazz and pop to death metal elements, all while having this classic old school hardcore punk spine. It's wild, it's crazy, and I love it. And finally, we have the Tampa, Florida-based hardcore punk band Soul on Fire with their debut album, Bound to Break Down. Me too, girl. Dude, this album is groovy. The bass lines especially, and these 80s and 90s punk rhythms have me in an opium den. You guys can just leave me here, I'll be fine. This band has so much energy and passion with no shortage of in-your-face riffs and melodies, and I love the dueling back and forth from the more like shouty punky vocals from the lead vocalist and the like strained harsh vocals from the bassist, and actually those I think kick a ton of ass, and I could use a little bit more of them if I'm honest. Highly recommend this one. This one blew me away. And here are all of the albums and demos released this week. As always, so much good stuff here. Eaten by Sharks is some sick death metal, deathcore crossover that I would have covered if we didn't have such a big hardcore this week. Quicksand also, oh my god, Quicksand. It's got so much like post-hardcore meets hardcore punk. Oh, it's so good. Those dudes are legends. I would have covered them today, but it was a little bit of a lighter episode in terms of like a lot more singing today than usual, so I wanted to deep dive on some of the screamier bands, but do not sleep on Quicksand. Fuck me, they're good. Constrain was some really good like throwback metalcore vibes. Lost Vital Spark had some good like melodic death metal. There's just a lot of good stuff here. As always, check it out, and please DM me if you have an album coming out soon. I'd love to take a listen. Comment down below, and again, you know, feed the algorithm a little bit and help your boy out. Love you guys, and I'll catch you next week for more of the best new albums from your favorite metal and hardcore bands that you don't even know about yet. That was a weird ending.